Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Meerkat Musings video series. I'm your host, Ben, aka Daft Timon, coming at you with, as you can see, some new cover art for my latest book, Fontana and Istolo. The cover art, I will freely confess, I used AI to make because I am not skilled in that arena and I do not currently have the money to pay someone to make it for me. I would love to be able to do that, but I'm also not going to shy away from the fact that I don't have those means and I still want to make a nice cover art, so I have turned to AI. I know people have objections to it. I understand those objections, but equally for someone such as myself, it's a medium to help me express myself. So that's what I've done. And I do kind of apologise for it, but I kind of don't as well. But moving away from that, moving away from the excitement, of course, of the new book, which has been out for almost a month now, what else has been going on? Well, it's been a month of, I think it's fair to say, a reasonable degree of stress in many respects. I mean, yes, I might look happy and jolly there, but beneath the scenes, I'm a little bit frazzled. And the reason for that is because I've had quite a few occasions now where I have been lone trading at work, and there does come a point where after a time that does start to get to you a little bit. I don't mind lone trading to a certain degree. It can be one of two things. It can be boring, or it can be hectic, and sometimes it can conspire to be both in the span of a day, because it can lurch from one scenario to the other. What you don't tend to get, and to be fair, this applies to a normal retail day, is things happening in the order and manner that you want them to. If you want that kind of structure to your life, do not work in retail. In fact, ideally don't work in any situation which is public facing, because it will never ever run to your schedule. Case in point, the other day I was on my own and it had been pretty much dead the entire morning, from 8 in the morning when we open, right through to shortly before 1 o'clock, and that was when I decided, you know what, I'm going to grab my sandwich. No sooner had I sat down than I heard the door go and someone had come in. Very quickly dealt with them because they wanted something that we didn't have on display and couldn't offer. Go back to resume eating my sandwich, door goes again. That kind of thing is the sort of thing that when you're lone trading can drive you mad. How can it be empty up to the point where you decide you want to eat something? How can it be almost every time that you sit down and the door goes and customers come in? This happens on a routine basis, and I swear sometimes that the hand of fate does this quite deliberately just to wind me up. It is, of course, nothing more than an unfortunate coincidence. But then again, when it keeps happening, is it a coincidence? Is someone trying to tell me something about my food? Are they saying, Ben, stop eating so many peanut butter sandwiches? Is that the message that I can take from this ongoing situation? And it wouldn't be too bad, of course, except when you're lone trading, you don't really have a choice but to abandon your sandwich and go and deal with the customers. You have to have a presence on the shop floor. It makes certain things challenging. For example, if you need the loo and you think it's going to be for more than just a couple of minutes, you have to think about, do you take a chance and customers come in and they think, where is everyone? Do you lock the door for a few minutes? What do you do? And it all becomes a little bit much sometimes. And it's no one's fault per se. It's a combination of staff illness, which can't be helped, and other stores in the area being short-handed. They require cover, and generally speaking, I am trusted enough to manage the showroom by myself. And that is, in many respects, of course, a statement of confidence. But it does mean that sometimes you can feel a little bit isolated, I guess. And on other occasions, when you've got quite a few things going on and you've got customers coming in and you've got these awkward queries happening, that's when it can start to get a bit jarring. That's when it can start to get a bit stressful. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but if you're on your own and you end up with, 3 or 4 groups of customers coming in, that is when things start to feel particularly problematic. And what you don't need is then for extra work, of course, but typically there are scenarios which play out, such as price changes, which generates extra work as well, and it all just, after a while, starts to get on top of you a little bit. And that's kind of how it's felt a little bit for me with work this past couple of weeks or so. But the flip side of all of this is that all the sales basically are mine when I'm on my own, and I've done quite well thus far in the month of March. There's still time to improve things further, but from a sales point of view, it's been quite healthy, and I think no small part of that is down to the fact that because I've been on my own, customers have to come to me, and it's just fallen on the right days for me to put some money in the till, which I cannot complain about. I'm a salesperson, I want to make money, and I've been doing exactly that. So, brilliant, great, fantastic. So there's positives to come from all of this. There's some, I guess you could say, some rewards, as it were. But overall, I think I'm at a point where I could really do with a bit less in the way of the lone trading, and I think thankfully the situations at other stores which are causing this are on the brink of being resolved. So it should be a question of back to normal, regular services resumed, and on we go. And speaking of regular service, one of the things that I am absolutely delighted about is the return of my laptop. It went away for repairs, and despite a little bit of a delay, which is the result of something else causing problems at work actually, which is a supply chain problem, it's now back, which means one of the things I have been able to do is resume my work on the sequel to The Awakening. I've been able to add a few maybe another sort of couple of thousand words or thereabouts to that particular work, and I actually now feel that I have a handle on how I want to wrap up this second instalment of my larger story. When that is done, I'm under fairly immense pressure, shall we say, from my daughter to do a different kind of story altogether, which is involving dragons. She's been quite determined for me to do this story for a while now, and I'd love to give it a go. I'm not sure if I can really do it justice. I'm not sure if I can get myself into a headspace where I can write this and write it well, because my mind is bubbling over with other ideas as well. There is, among other things, a project I'm working on. I say working on. There's an idea in my head for something else involving dragons, which is nothing like what my daughter wants me to do. And then there is, I keep pondering, do I redo my ancient Rome story? Now, my ancient Rome story was basically kind of like a tribute to the Spartacus TV series, and it was full of lots of violence and lots of adult material. I sometimes think about revisiting it, but then again, I also think, is it really something that I can do and do well? And I'm not sure about that by any means. There would also be the third instalment to my Awakening storyline as well. And my new book, Fontana and Istalor, well, I've left the door wide open for a follow-up to that as well. So, all this stuff is kind of bubbling away in my head. And whilst all that's bubbling away, there are other things that I want to do. One of the things I've been doing is I have resumed, for better or worse, playing Football Manager. Now that I've got my laptop back, I can resume my career, which is what they call a journeyman career, where you start out as basically a nobody and you work your way up in more ways than one. And on top of all that, there are other things, of course, that kind of want and need doing. My wife, daughter and I, along with my stepdaughter and granddaughter, we went to a cat cafe quite recently in Southend. And what can I say to that, really? If you like cats, you'll enjoy the environment. Whilst in Southend, I picked up a new book for myself called Legends and Lattes by an author called Travis Baldry. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but I'm enjoying that book so far. And you have to experience a bit of life and have a bit of life outside of A, work, but also B, the other work. My job is to design and sell bathrooms, but I also have my other job, which is to be an author, which doesn't pay the bills yet, but it is, whilst it's enjoyable, it's still a form of work, and you need sometimes to detach yourself from all of that and do other things. So that's what I've been doing with myself of late. I've also had an unusual experience of late of finding these little tiny, very cute green frogs dotted around the house. I have counted 12 of these so far. I'm not sure who's hiding them around the house and why. Well, actually, I think I know why, because around Christmas time, I was helping my stepdaughter to hide lots of little ducks all around the house for my wife to find. So I think the frogs were a form of payback, although my wife passionately denies any involvement with this. And my daughter and my stepdaughter, who I think is the ringlings with this, are also denying everything as well. All I know is someone is going around the house hiding little green frogs everywhere. It's cute, it's funny, it's definitely revenge for the duck thing, as it were. But I haven't yet figured out who the ringleader is of this plot. So that's where I am at in something of a nutshell, as it were, and it just remains for me to say that I wish you are all well. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me ramble, as I so often do. Hopefully things will improve weather-wise, and hopefully, of course, things will improve work-wise as well in a number of ways. And may we all find and seek improvement and happiness in all our endeavours. Thank you very much for listening. Take care.